Benjamin Dumont. Welcome to HP Track Chat. And in this episode, we will be talking a little bit about sport marketing, an athlete as a brand, and we have a lot to talk about. But before we get deep into things, as a sport agent, what is a sport agent about? Is it important for a professional athlete to have an agent?
Well, let me first start by saying that I kind of stopped doing that now, but I was working indeed with some Jamaican athletes and some Belgian athletes. And still today, I'm still in contact with them. And if they need any support, I'm there to help. Is it important for an athlete to have an agent? I will say definitely yes. I think the job of an athlete is to focus on his performance, on running, on making sure that he's in the good spirit to make sure that he can perform. Leaving, let's say, all the admin and the contract and the negotiation to somebody that they trust, making sure that they can keep their focus onto what they have to do and not having all the nuisance around them to interfere with what they have to achieve. So in that perspective, I think that's the importance of an agent, definitely.
Athletes do have, well, people in general have different personalities. How do you select your athletes when you were in the game in order for it to be a good fit between you and the athletes you represent?
Well, it started a bit by luck. I've been doing music industry type of businesses, booking artists into after parties, festivals, etc. So by meeting different people, I was meeting with a friend of mine who became a friend of mine who was into sports, and she just told me like she just need a good agent so she could do what she had to do. And I said, okay, whatever. And then she said, you could be a good agent. So I said, well, I know about watching sport, but about working into the sport is something different. And so like Jamaican would say, it's like, you good, man. So she just said, like, go ahead, do it. So it started like that, friendship, by friendship. And
but
I would say from the music.
You're from Belgium, you're from Europe. How did you get
Correct.
into the Caribbean market?
Well, it started back into artists management and booking. At the time, I was doing parties and I wanted to have some artists, and it looked like a certain guy named Sean Paul was starting to have a nice career ahead, and that was the guy to follow, and that was the guy to connect with. So that's how it started. A few years later, I was doing my internship in his with his manager as well. So big up Steve Urchin.
And this is in Jamaica, right?
Yes, correct, in Kingston. So that's where my accent is also coming from and confusing people. So no, it just started like that. And why the Caribbean? Well, because first of the music, that was a great thing to start with, and then from an athlete's point of view and from the sport point of view, that was the start of Usain Bolt era. So that was also, let's say, a tailwind for what I wanted to do. I started with friends that were from Jamaica that helped to get into some certain meets, and from that point everything started, getting into some other athletes also from the Caribbean, from Trinidad, also, and that helped definitely to get spot into some meetings. We're not talking about Diamond Leagues yet or those type of meets, but some interesting meets where it's not hazardous that you might meet with some top Caribbean or top Americans athletes also from time to time. So like Didi Trotter, for example, Sanya Richards, or you might, meet them in some other type of meeting than Diamond League. So it all depends on the conditions and the circumstance. But yeah, it's a small world. I will say it like that.
So with you just starting out back then, how were you able to select events for your athletes as a no-name agent?
That's a good question, because then I went back to the basics and how I started with music. What did I do? I did some desk research, and I listed all the different competitions. At the time, it was easier because you had all the different countries' federation with a proper calendar, with all the meetings listed by level, from international to local and regional. So just by filtering a bit on those websites, you could easily track the calendar for the entire summertime. And it took me 3 days, lot of work, but I could get about 300 meets for the entire summer in the entire Europe.
Wow.
It took me another 3 days to get answers from them. And as soon as I could collect enough answers, positive answers, then I think it was time to book the athletes and to start the process. So we made all the admin and the process of visas and everything, and then on the spot in Europe, you start to meet with other athletes, sometimes also from the Caribbean. So of course, Caribbean Together is a strong community, so they are helping you as well.
So
Trinidadian will tell you there is another meeting there and there, and so you just making the links like that.
Like for athletes who are not invited to the Diamond League, because we know that the Diamond League is really about the elite athletes in order to attract patrons and fans and stuff. So if you are what you would call, if you're not an elite athlete where you're on top, Europe is a good place to be during the summer in order to make some money, to improve on your talent.
I think it's about experience. I was also very lucky enough in the very beginning of that very young career as an agent to meet up with Adrian Laidlaw, the agent of Shelley and Elaine, and that helped me to understand also and kind of have a mentorship from his side, and to learn about the process and how to get and to build up the athletes into some other type of meets. He explained me he has a roster of, I don't know, 30, 40 athletes that he worked with.
Yes.
And basically he organized a base camp in Europe, and then he sent them all around to do some of those smaller meets, because it's not only about Shelley or Elaine, it's also about the other athletes that he has that he need to build up experience and basically learning about how it works also abroad. And by learning that, you also understand how the industry works. And that helps you to shape your own career and knowing and understanding where you should go. So that's basically it.
Great. Let us segue a little bit to branding and sponsorship. Recently, just a few days ago, a top athlete posted, and I'm going to read to you what they said. They recently posted on social media to say, upcoming athletes, before you sign a contract, talk to athletes who are in the business already. And another top athlete retweeted that. What do you think this athlete is really saying based on your experience?
Well, it's funny because that is how it happened for me. I started really taking 100% of my time with a Belgian athlete, a sprinter, who then became a kind of a phenomena here in Belgium, breaking national records and starting to qualify for world champs and Olympics, etc. As soon as she qualified, there was an opportunity to sign her. I think there is different processes in the Caribbean, for example, where the brands are very involved from the beginning, and on our side, where you really have to to shop around the different brands and try to negotiate a good deal. My luck was basically to talk to other athletes that were already signed, that were also friend of her, who could explain us how the structure of the contract were made and how the bonuses scheme is prepared and structured, and how the prices and other primes would be working. We started to talk with other athletes who already are signed, and we were able to understand how the structure of the contract was, and it helped us to gain more insights of how to negotiate with them as well.
Do you think?
Of course, it's all related to the performance as well, of course.
Do you think athletes before signing a contract should get an opinion from a lawyer? Do you think that they should have legal representation when signing these contracts? Because I've heard stories about contracts, and do you think that they should?
I would say ignorance is not a virtue, and that's Barack Obama's famous quote. Whatever help and support you might have is helping you to understand better. And with more information and more knowledge, you will be able to make your own choice. And then, of course, you need to assume those choices and live with the consequence of those choices. If you believe that receiving some products from a big brands for the next 3 years with no retainer, no money, is a sustainable contract for you, then you take this choice and you go ahead.
But
if you believe that you should have a living out of that and then building up on some financials as well,
but many times
then you will try to negotiate that part.
Many times these younger athletes coming into the business, they don't know what is happening. They don't understand the fine print and stuff. They're just out there running fast. Someone come and say, okay, we will offer you this. In their mind, they might not know that they're worth more. So how do they strike that balance or get it right?
I think what you might have seen with Usain Bolt, for example, is to be associated with the good friends that he trusts, that also help him understand where it makes sense and where he could sign and where he could go further into the negotiation. I would say, like, everybody has a different job. The athletes is, of course, to be focused on the track, but he needs to know what is important for him and for his career. The career is very short, so they need to capitalize on that. So that means that they need to keep in their mind that they need to make a living out of that, but not just a living. They need to make more than just a living. They need to raise capitals on that very short period of their career. They need to be able to live up until 80 years old and capitalize on their own brand. So they need to really develop not just money, but also their plans after career.
I'm happy you say that. When we say an athlete is a brand, what is that really? What does that mean? What does that entail?
Well, I would say the first thing that comes to my mind is it's a signature. If you look at Usain Bolt's famous lightning pose, this is his signature. He was different because of that. If you think of Oscar Pistorius, okay, that's not maybe the best example, but he was known for something. If you look at Alison Felix, she is known for something. And you name them. The Beasts with Johan Bleek, that's the same. They basically developed a kind of a marketing of their own personality.
So what they have done is, like, they've created a character within themselves that is displayed once they're in competition, that over time is a representation of who they are.
That could be a possibility, and that's helping to identify them from the grandstand. So that helps to recognize the persona. And that is what the brand's looking at. They want somebody that, is different than the others. Why would they select the same type of personality that is running next to another. They want somebody that is completely different, that could show some personality, that has some goals, that is also some out of the track type of goal, charity, UN, development, sustainability, whatever you name it. So it is also important for that. What is important for the athlete is to understand how companies work. Companies work and want a partnership with somebody that represents their values. If the values and the company's values are a match, then there are possibilities to make a partnership and negotiate something. If you just want to partner with a brand because you like the brand, that's not enough. You need to work better than just liking a brand. And that goes on and on and on and on. You cannot capitalize just on, you need authenticity. That is the word. You need authenticity. It needs to be you, and it needs to be a fitting brand or a fitting company that helps you to raise and to live out of your own career, which is sports.
As an agent or a former agent, how would you, or how did you get your athletes or encourage your athletes to keep their brand at a certain level, to keep their brand clean, meaning from scandals, whether it is doping, DUI, sexual harassment, that kind of thing? How do you protect your brand?
That is part of the athlete's job, to make sure whatever he is dealing with is healthy and is still good for his own career. What we wanted also is not to be on every screen, on every TV ads, or on every billboards. We want to really select the brands that match with our values, and to make sure that where we associate with, it makes sense. And so we are kind of picky when it comes to selecting some brands. Nowadays, I do believe that a lot of athletes make some revenues and incomes because of Instagram postings and all those things. This is less efficient, in my view, to build up your brands. If you are basically associating with any type of soft drinks just because they pay you for some post, that does not help you to keep a consistency in your brand. Of course, that has to match with your reality of your needs of finance as well. So this is all right. This is always a balance to find.
Wow. The sport industry is a big thing. It is a big thing. We see brand has become a big thing in sport. A team is a brand, an individual is a brand, a country is a brand. But how do you encourage a country to capitalize on the success of their athletes on the pitch? What are some of the encouragement that you would give in terms of upgrading your infrastructure, bidding for more events, that kind of thing?
I think the athletes is the face of the country. So, and this is not an hazard why you will see Usain, Elaine, or Shelley receiving an ambassador type of passport, a diplomatic passport. They are representing the country. That being said, the country also needs to not only capitalize on one athlete, but to really make sure that the industry itself is sustainable. That comes with investment. And even if the country itself, from a government or politics point of view, needs more money than what they can afford, they can always partner with private companies. That can be done through some tax facilitation, reducing the tax, for example, for a company to come and build a specific infrastructure. The infrastructure is anyway important to help the athlete to develop themselves, but it's important if you want some other athletes from the world to come into Jamaica, for example, and to take benefit of the environment there. That is then becoming more foreign investment, because you will see some Canadian, Europeans teams coming to Jamaica just to train and spending, I don't know, a month of their time in Jamaica, and that will basically bring some more profit to the country as well. So this is
Generating revenue, more revenue for the country.
Exactly. So I think that's a way to do it. There are many other ways, from organizing specific events and making sure that you are benefiting from that. TV rights, sponsorships. If you look at any other type of big events, a lot of infrastructure are built around that. Those infrastructure are benefit for either younger generation or even to just keep the population healthy. That is where you will basically help your country to go further into some either happiness, sustainability, being older and in good shape. So that helps to shape the population into a one mindset, which is, I want to do good for myself.
Marketing is a big part of any business that you're doing, or any brand. You must have some marketing. How important is marketing in the sport industry?
Well, I think I need to go back to many years ago. I think I saw a Forbes list of the top athletes in terms of revenue. I think in that list, of course, you had Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, and all those guys. But then there was the first track and field athletes, which was Usain Bolt. I think and in terms of revenue, that was about $200,000 in terms of revenue from the sport itself, from the track. So that means that prize money was paying him 200 about that. That was a Forbes article. Next to that, it was some millions in terms of brand and sponsorship. So there you see the difference. Can you live with 200,000? Of course, but can you live with millions on site? Yes, of course. So I think the marketing is there. It leverage your revenues. It accelerate what you can bring to the world with your brand. So it's all about your personality. Not every athlete is into developing their own character into commercials or billboards. It's not up to everyone to do that, but you should consider that if you want to make a living out of that.
Sport events, especially we're on track and field. How important is it to market a track and field event? Is it important to do it? Is it needed?
Well, my understanding from here, from Europe, Belgium mainly, what I can say is track and field events, whatever the size, have a ranking. This ranking helped them to get some fundings. That being said, every performance of every athlete in that event collect points, and that helps the meeting, the track competition, to be ranked on a better ranking or a lower ranking. And that attracts more fundings, but also more sponsors. So if tomorrow you have Johan Blake in an event, he will perform well, that will bring points, and those points will help the meeting to be on a higher ranking. That being said, will bring and attract more sponsors. So it's a loop again. It's sales and marketing type of loop. If it's needed, definitely. I think the sport industry is about the show, it's about entertainment, it's about excitement, you name it, and all the brands want to be part of that. If you want to attract money, you need to have a show, you need to bring a show, and that is why you will see some US versus Jamaican athletes or some other teams combined to make some kind of competition within the competition, and then the people will want to see it, so then they will buy some ticket to go to the stadium. So I think this is where the entire model should turn around. I think I saw a tweet from Michael Johnson recently where he was asking people to consider one sport
I
that track
saw.
and field need to aim at.
Yes, I
You
saw
saw
that
it?
tweet. Yes, I did. I did. And he's right. He's right.
Yeah,
He is.
he's right.
Yeah.
He's right. And okay, my answer to him was I would look at Formula One, and then people will be for that or against it. I don't mind. You can be pro or cons. There are many other examples, and not everything is good in Formula One either. But what I mean is the World Championship is every year. The competitions are in a lot of different countries. It's a big event everywhere it goes. And you can think of the Diamond Leagues. It's a big event everywhere.
It is.
It is, but you need to capitalize on that to develop that industry and to develop bigger. So that can go with teams kind of events like the Diamond League, but with teams. Then you will combine it with either a club kind of association of athletes. And I think I saw it in the past with Usain Bolt having a team where all the athletes were competing
Yes.
and collecting points, and that was kind of a Champions League or a kind of a club kind of event.
Mhm.
And that was a good way to revamp and to reinvent track and field,
Yes.
and some mixed combination with female
Yes.
and male athletes. So there are creativity, and I think Caribbean have a lot of creativity to bring up something new.
The thing is that maybe a lot of us not realizing that sport is no longer about what is happening just on the pitch. Fans want a little more, and if you want to bring out those fans that are not what we call die-hearted fans, you have to include something that will pull them out. Let us take the Super Bowl for example. That's one of my favorite events, and I'll tell you why. The Super Bowl is a combination of the arts and sports. So what they do, they put together a lovely halftime show, a very entertaining halftime show that will pull people who are into the arts and just want to see that performance, not necessarily about what is on the pitch, but they want to see that performance. Track and field haven't really done much of that, but I think we now need to look at incorporating the arts in terms of entertainment in major track and field events. Your thoughts?
Well, we are doing that in Brussels. If you look at the previous years in Brussels at the Diamond League final, when Usain was mainly competing in this event, we were doing what we call the Jamaican party. So you had one day you had Shaggy, and another year you would have Sean Paul, for example. In all honesty, this is great for artists. It's an extra show in a stadium. That's great. But the stadium is already packed because of Usain, or because it's Diamond League and it's very local, so people going there. Recently, we saw the final of the Champions League, where they put on a show right before the kickoff. Honestly, a lot of people and a lot of reaction were, we are here to watch a sport event and not a concert.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it can be both sides, actually.
true.
I think it's because Super Bowl is an American thing, and Americans are very into the show. I don't think it's applicable everywhere. And is it something that track and field needs? I think track and field needs way more money for the performance of the athletes. If you compare whatever an athlete is earning for running in his entire career compared to one season of an NBA player
Yes.
that is sitting on a bench for the entire year, he just gets a fraction of the TV right already. So he's starting the season with 3-4 millions already
And
without even starting to play.
I'm happy that you say that. Is it that the stakeholders that are involved in track and field, is it a case where they are not aggressive enough in marketing the sport? Because when you look at basketball, when you look at the NFL, I mean, the money, when you look at other sport, the money that they generate, track and field is, it does this have to do with how they promote their event, their discipline?
I think over the years we have seen many clashes, from Muhammad Ali to Mike Tyson in the box, or Chicago Bulls versus the Celtics, or whatever, you name it. It always have existed, and that is part of the show. So if tomorrow we want to convert track and field into a clashing kind of event, that might excite the crowd. Is it where we want to be? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think it's that healthy either. I think competition is anyway a competition. But there are some needs for the athlete as well to be able to focus only on what they have to do, and they are there for the performance. They are not necessarily into considering it as a clashing industry. Maybe in the future that will become, because of the money and everything. But so far, from 30 years that I'm watching track and field, that's not what I have seen. But we always had some big names and big figures as a clash. We were talking about back in the 90s, we had Carl Lewis, and we had also the Ben Johnson, and then we had some other clashes with Gatlin and Usain. So of course there were always some clashes in the past, but it wasn't like non-healthy clash. It was always about the performance on the track.
Right. Formal training. How important is formal training to sport as it relates to sport management? Is it important, really?
What do you mean by formal training? I would say it's coach work.
in terms of study in an area of sport management, to understand just to understand the fundamentals of the sport, what is required, in the same way you would do a degree in marketing or you would do a degree in engineering. Is formal training to manage sport important?
I think it's anyway good. You could be a lawyer the same way, because you have to deal with contracts constantly. So that is also why the international federation is delivering some official representative certification that you kind of need to pass certain tests to get it. All the official representatives have those licenses.
And coaches, and some coaches.
Coaches, same way. So I think you kind of need to prove that you know what you are going to deal with. Going back to what we discussed right before, I think the industry itself, and that was another tweet from Michael Johnson, but I think he's in that mood for the moment. I think he was referring to the fact that for competition, for example, the promoter is taking into the charges all the costs that needs to be taken for the athletes, from the accommodation to the traveling to the catering. While you don't see that in many other sports. Most of the time, the athletes have to transport themselves on their own and deal for their own. So that brings more money for the prize money as well.
Yes.
I think he was referring to another competition style where you had about 7 million in total compared to a 35 million in another sport. That's a big difference.
Let's talk a little bit about post track and field career, into retirement and life after. I'm not sure how many athletes really think about these things, but What are some of the things that you can put out there that athletes need to know going into retirement in terms of their brand, investment, earning after they've left the pitch?
Well, it depends on the career itself. Ask Usain what you want to do, and ask anyone that didn't perform to that level what you want to do. It's two different career, two different level, two different type of revenues afterwards. Of course, it seems more easier for somebody like Usain to keep some spotlight and some other type of revenues from big brands. For other type of athletes, yeah, there are many different career paths that are possible, from a coach perspective to being a consultant on TV to other type of revenues. You can write a book. You can also bring your own experience to the younger generation. You can basically help the public authorities to develop more because of your insights and be a more like a public servant
But
kind of.
don't we need to educate them from their younger that if you're making $2, you need to invest $1, just to let them know.
At least save one.
Yes.
At least save one.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I think it's then again, it's another example, but look at Shaquille O'Neal. He was starting his career, getting a lot of money, spending a lot of money, and then he realized that when the tax came, he was a bit short in money, but he was wealthy kind of. So he then realized that for whatever he was getting, he should have put half of it on a bank account, and then basically live with half of the money that he was receiving, because that was what the tax wouldn't take.
And these are some
financial education is key.
Right, and these are some of the things that we need to educate them on when they're much younger. Talk to them about the importance of brand while in competition, after retirement. Talk to them about investment and even earning after. But just to ask you, whose job is it really to inform them of these things? Is it their manager, their agent, their parents, their...
Well, my first reaction would be me as a human being, because I have that knowledge. I will transmit it. I will give it to my athletes. I will try to explain them. It's not every personality doing that.
True.
Some agents are just focused on getting the contract signed, and then they don't care about the athletes for the next 5 years. Is it a better way? I don't know. That is where I do believe that, of course, it comes with certain commissions and fee for the agent. But I think it's important for the athletes to understand that the commission is not just a cut from a contract that is being signed. It is a payment to an agent to give you a return on services. So what kind of services do you hope from your agent? Do you want more? Ask him more. Do you want more financial advice? Check with him. If he doesn't bring anything, maybe it's good to think of maybe another agent. Because what do you want in your life? Do you want to be educated and make sure that you handle your own business properly? Or do you just want to get into some certain needs? And that's good enough.
I think
you need to be ambitious.
Yeah, I think there need to be an initiative, because most of the sporting discipline are children or youths from humble beginning. They don't know anything about money management. They're just thinking about running fast, earning, and then, okay, I'm earning this money, so I need to buy a car, I need to buy a BMW. But they're not thinking that, okay, I might be 18, I might be 20 now, but maybe in 10 years or so when this career is over, I need to have an estate, I need to have enough investment so that I am able to live, and I'm not expecting federations to help me.
It is true that it's mainly part of education, and sometimes it's difficult to also receiving that kind of education from parents or family, because they never experienced that either. So this is completely different type of relations that you will have with money. I spoke with an investor, and he explained me that he knew a footballer who, on his first salary, his father just invested into 8 apartments. First salary, 8 apartments. And then he said, you are good for the rest of your life. First month of salary, 8 apartments. And then he was gone for whatever he wanted to do. You want to buy a Ferrari, go for a Ferrari. You want a Bentley, go for a Bentley. But if tomorrow your leg is broken and you cannot play, you still have the incomes of 8 apartment rents for your life.
Exactly.
Which is still comfortable. So it's all about knowing where your focus is. You have the talent, that is good, but your talent is not going to last for the next 50 years. It's the same as with studies and diplomas. If you studied a master degree, you will have studied for 4 to 5 years, but that shouldn't be enough for the next 40 years of your career. You need to keep on learning more, doing more, refreshing some knowledge from time to time. So this is the same with money. Unless you are Michael Jordan and you earn a lot during your career, but he didn't just earn a lot, he made deals at that moment, and that helped him to stay sustainable financially for the next 50 years.
So even though he has retired, he is still earning. He's earning crazy money because he aligned himself with investments before he retires. So he is now able to live comfortably. But how many athletes I've seen where in Jamaica, for example, I've seen where some athletes are getting it right because as you mentioned a few times, Usain Bolt, he is what a brand in a person represents, right? He know what he was doing, he know where he's going, and he is still aligned with big brands, even though he's not competing. And he is involved in a lot of other things.
Correct. And yeah, that's how the magic is happening. You have a limited time to do what you need to do, but then you need to consider that afterwards, when that healthy sport and shape is gone, you need to find another way to make revenue. So you need to anticipate that part.
So we definitely need to start grooming them from they are very young, especially when they're at the high school level where they're in competition, and as they transition and move away, their handlers now need to let them understand that, look, this career is very short, and whatever you are earning, think about what kind of investment that you would want, because I'm sure that you have people, whether from the banks, the insurance company, real estate, that will come in and talk to these athletes and say, okay, these are some of the investment, these are some of the things that you can invest in so that when you retire, you will have this money to fall back on and to be able to live comfortably without asking for handouts.
This is correct, but it's also part of the personality of the athlete itself. Again, not everyone can emotionally go with that. A lot of people just see money and want to spend money.
True.
And you don't need to be an athlete for that. Your neighbor can be like that, or another friend could be like that. I think regarding money, but that's my own personal feeling with money, is you need to treat it as it can help you to bring some possibility into your life. So you need to consider it as a mean, as a way to achieve something. It's all about what do you want to achieve, and make the money working for you to make it. Quick money and quick spending never made it to a sustainable life. So it's a mindset.
That's true.
They need to understand that and accept it. It's more about acceptance. They need to accept that this is how things can happen. And if they can keep their mind open with that, then it will help them to be more mature with money.
In closing, you as a former agent, right? You said you're a former agent.
Yeah.
Sport agent, track and field. Give me, just throw some encouragement out there for younger athletes who are coming up now, how they can, as it relates to their brand and staying relevant even after they have retired.
Well, it starts first with the beginning. First is about enjoying. I would say it's all about enjoying, and that's what is being taught in every club sport. First, you need to enjoy what you're doing. Then it become a passion, and then maybe you consider it as a professional level if the performance follow up. From that point, yeah, you need to be surrounded by people that you trust, and even people that you might trust maybe is still not good enough. So you really need to sometimes evaluate who you want to give the trust to. From that point, surround yourself with good people, genuine people. Opinion is never expensive. It should be free. So good friendship, good relations should be free. So there should be good advice, and the more money you will have, the more people around you there will be. So you need to really protect yourself into that. Whatever you're doing is yours. So you need to think that a good entourage is important. It's key. I think we saw it with many other athletes in many other sports. It's always the family around. It's always protection, kind of. But it's not protection about the money only. It's about the well-being of the athletes. I think that is important, to keep your well-being very high and never put your health into danger.
Protecting your brand.
Any performance.
Protecting your brand.
Yes. Protecting yourself, but also the brand for sure. And from there, yeah, I would say make the right choice, and the right choice should be given to you as a great opportunity, which is whatever you might put in should bring more as an output. So yeah, that's a simple rule, but that's helped to measure what would be good investment and what could be a bad investment. As simple as that. So post-career, well, you need to anticipate that a bit.
Oh, yes.
And consider whatever you might consider afterwards. And I think it goes back to some of your passion. You need to find your way into what you would like to do and to bring to the world and go for it.
How challenging was it though to represent athletes from different culture, from Europe, your country, Belgium, from Jamaica, Trinidad?
Actually, it was exciting and it was easy. I was starting it in 2012 until about 2017, 18, something like that. So that was a good period for Caribbean and especially Jamaica. So a lot of promoters were interested by the brand Jamaica because it brings flavor to their competition. It brings exotism to the athletes that are present. But on top of that, it's about the performance, and people that I was working with are very friendly and very easy to deal with, and that helped to make sure that everybody is in good conditions, from the promoter to the athlete, and making sure that the performance was there. Yeah, Belgian athletes, I wish I was able to bring them even to Jamaica or to other type of big meets in the Bahamas, for example, or some other countries in the US. That's sometimes not possible because of the cost, but also because of the performance. Sometimes you have local athletes going faster than your own athletes. So
yes. Oh, so you were never able to bring your athletes into Jamaica from Belgium?
No, not in Jamaica.
Oh, okay. 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 I got you.
Wish I was though.
I got you.
I have
So,
5% in my battery though.
oh,
5%, so
okay,
you know.
okay. So there we have it, track fans. My guest today, my good friend, I guess I can call him my good friend now, Benjamin Benji Dumont, former track and field agent. Thank you very much, Benji. Thank you. And all the best.
Well, appreciate it, and anytime, don't hesitate, just call me. So we can have also some panelists and
Yes,
discuss. Always good to share my opinion as well.
definitely will. I definitely will. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. And remember, track fans, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.